Section 5 is on the law of cosines, and you use the law of cosines when you don't have a matching angle inside, so we can't use law of sines. Again, you could have multiple formulas, but the main idea is just knowing that this little side right here has to match this angle. And then the other two sides that you know that you don't have the angle for would go in B and C in those two spaces. So we have triangle FGH. Again, the job is to solve. So I like to, like I showed you in the last section, draw a little triangle here and label what I know. We know G is 82 degrees, little f is 6, little h is 4. So see, we don't know this side to be able to do law of sines. So we plug in what we do know. What we're looking for, since we know at angle G, is we're looking for little g right here. So that will be our A. So we would say G squared equals 4 squared plus 6 squared, and those don't matter the order, equals, sorry, not equals, minus 2 times 4 times 6 times the cosine of angle G, which is 82. Then we would take the square root and then we would know G. So I like to do, whenever all I'm missing is G, I like to just type that all in at one time. So square root 4 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 4 times 6 times the cosine of 82. And we get 6.7 because it's a side length, 1 decimal place. And there we go, 6.7. Now we have a pair. Again, I don't love that we have to use something we found because we're capable of making mistakes, but with law of cosines you have to, you don't have another option. So we would do law of sines now. Sine 82 over 6.7 equals sine, let's find f next because 6 is larger. So sine f over 6, cross multiply, 6 sine 82 equals 6.7 sine f, divide by 6.7. We got to move sine over here, which would now be inverse sine, and we would know f. Again, we're going to use our calculator. So inverse sine, math right up, get that fraction, and we have 6 sine 82 on the top and 6.7 on the bottom, and we get 62. And this is degrees, so we're just going to do the whole number. So f is 62. The last thing is h, easiest one to get. If we know 82 and 62, we add those up and we subtract from 180, and angle h is 36 degrees. And we have solved the triangle. We found the 3 missing parts. So law of cosines is a little harder, but sometimes it feels a little faster. Example 2, same thing. The difference is rather than knowing an angle this time, we only know the 3 sides. So I'm going to start with that triangle, A, B, C. Little a is 5, little b is 11, little c is 8. I like to do the largest one first. It just seems to work more consistently because if it's going to be obtuse, it will be the largest one, but you could go alphabetically if you'd like. So I'm going to find B, angle B. So this 11 will be my outside number. So 11 squared equals my other two numbers, 8 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 8 times 5 times cosine of, and then capital B. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, what's different is we cannot just plug it all in at one time, so we're gonna have to do some steps along the way. Hopefully you can see this okay. So 11 squared is 121, 8 squared, 64, 5 squared should be 25, minus 2 times 8 times 5 is 80 cosine B. Important, this has to stay together. Do not try to move the 80. So we're going to subtract 64 and subtract 25, but we're not touching that 80. So I have 121 minus 64 minus 25. Get 32. So 32 equals negative 80 cosine B. Now we can divide to separate the negative 80, and then we move cosine, well that's just inverse. So that will give us our capital B. So inverse cosine of 32 divided by negative 80. and we get 114 as an angle. See, so it ended up being obtuse. I just liked the bigger one first. We probably could have gotten pretty close the other way. You might be off by like 1 degree, but we tend to be pretty lenient on that when you're solving. So B is 114. Let's see, we can do law of sines now. So sine 114 over 11 equals sine, I'm gonna go to C next, C over 8. Again, that's a preference. I just like to go largest to smallest. Sometimes I like to do alphabetical. Cross multiply, and we get 8 sine 114 equals 11 sine C. Divide by 11. Got to get the sine separated, so that makes it an inverse sine. So second sine, math right up. And we have 8 sine 114 on the top, and then 11 on the bottom. We get, this is an angle, so whole number 42 degrees. And then the last one is the easiest one, 114 plus 42. 180 minus that answer is 24. So angle A equals 24 degrees. And that is how you use the law of cosines if you start off with just all 3 sides and you don't know any of the angles. So, law of cosines.